Yeah.
Said take few.
Okay, few is okay. Few is okay. So help me with the clerk so that they don't put light on my, when I'm speaking, there's no few in that light. That light looks very serious. Mr. Speaker, because he has finished to speak, I am an orderly person. I'm not going to speak on a point of order when a senator has sat down. But Mr. Speaker, we are degenerating as a house where people are taking this house for granted. Mr. Speaker, you know very well that there's nothing like Wamunyoro party in this house, or even in this parliament. If there is, let the senator for Kiambu resign as a senator, go and vie on his Wamunyoro party, whatever party he wants, and then come back to this house. But he cannot make this house degenerate into some silly jokes that don't make sense. We are in a very serious Senate of Kenya that we must respect and take very seriously. Now, Mr. Speaker, before I start, Mr. Speaker, can you protect me? Can you allow the senator for Kiambu to go to a funeral in Kiambu and shout there, not when I'm speaking here?
Andy, just...
Mr. Speaker, can I continue and be listened to in silence?
Please continue. Continue as I listen to what you're saying.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me cool down first. Let me first of all take my time, Mr. Speaker, that we cannot start speaking today without recognizing, Mr. Speaker, that our colleagues, two of them, one, our own leader, Amason Jeffa Kingi, the honorary speaker of this house, is mourning the death of his father. And number two, yesterday, the former commissioner and the senator of Laikipia, Honorable John Kinyua, just buried the father, Mr. Speaker. I feel very sad because losing a parent pains more than any toothache you've ever felt. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I wasn't expecting point of order when I'm mourning with my brothers who are leaders of this house. I think that is very uncourteous. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge this house to really stand with these two gentlemen, even as they mourn, because they are part of our house, and I didn't want to overlook that. Secondly, Mr. Speaker...
Senator Mandago, what is your point of order?
Really?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think the Senator for Migori, ever since he went for a long recess, has forgotten the standing orders of this House. I rise on standing order number 111, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, this is on the issue of limitation of the debate. Mr. Speaker, you cannot allow other senators to speak for 15 minutes and ask other senators to speak for 2 minutes. And I want to quote standing order number 111, Honorable Speaker, Part 2. A motion for limitation of debate under this standing order may be made without notice. A motion under paragraph 2 shall not be made in the course of the debate, which refers unless it is moved after the adjournment of the debate, and therefore the debate is resumed. Honorable Speaker, I want to speak for 15 minutes.
Senator Mandago, I thought it is Senator Andy who is out of
procedural.
Order. Proceed, Senator Andy.
Okay. Nyinyi mmeongea dakika 10. Nyinyi na
Mr. Speaker, thank you once again. Certainly, I wasn't out of order, Mr. Speaker. I think that the Senator Mandago had personal issues with your ruling, and I think that we can sort it when he approach you. I'm not out of order. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to say thank you to the team that constituted the previous House Business Committee. I think they have done an excellent job, and they have really made this House work in the last session. And Mr. Speaker, I hope that the proposed new House Business Committee will actually borrow a leaf and glean some morals in terms of discipline, passion, and commitment from that previous committee. And Madam Speaker, I wanted to say that this committee indeed is a very vibrant committee, if it's considered as is, apart, of course, from the question that the senior counsel, Commissioner Mogeni, did raise on the issue of which side of minority and which side of majority do they come from, because you can be unbalanced depending on how you look at it. But that notwithstanding, Madam Speaker, I must say that the people who have been proposed here, the senators who have been proposed in this committee, are men and women of true valor and towering spirit to work. Of course, starting with our own Senator Crystal Asige. Madam Speaker, we know the zeal that Senator Crystal Asige brings into this House, and we know the commitment that she brings. And I really am excited to see in this committee. Madam Speaker, if you also look at my own chair of Finance and Budget, indeed, Ali Roba, the senator from Mandera, is a very industrious but also very diligent senator in this House who has served really well as matters of finance and budget. And Madam Speaker, I don't want to mention all of them because of pressure of time. I'm keen that all senators get equal time, but I do support and endorse this committee regardless of the contention that we still have on the majority versus minority side based on the court. But Madam Speaker, allow me to request that I know that all the senators who came before me have emphasized the urgency and the need to focus on legislative pieces that we must bring to this House. But I wanted to urge us that this House does not only look at legislative work. We are indeed a House of serious oversight, oversighting we're oversighting 47 executives. And unlike the National Assembly, that critically speaking, oversights one executive in this country, Madam Speaker. And I wanted to urge the committee that apart from prioritizing the bills that have been mentioned here, and I hope that even my bill for creative economy, that will be able to support a number of young people in this country and open up government support and resources to creatives in this country, that Senator Crystal Asige has also worked on when we were with her in the Committee of Trade, where I had put this to make a case for business viability and commercial viability for creatives. Apart from those bills, Madam Speaker, I want to really urge this House that the role of oversight is a critical one. And there are a number of reports from respective committees that have come to this committee, House Business Committee, that have not been dealt with, Madam Speaker. And some of them are so critical that yesterday, Madam Speaker, we spent our time in Migori County with Finance and Budget, which you are going to receive their report from where we came from in Migori. And Madam Speaker, we realize a lot of leakages in government resources and county resources, to the extent that, Madam Speaker, the issue of voiding that is happening in this country by governors, that the pending bills that we have seen rising from voiding payments that are supposed to go to contractors, Madam Speaker, is a problem that we are dealing with, not only in Finance and Budget Committee, but even in CPIC, where I sit, Madam Speaker, we have dealt with serious issues of pending bills, including over 80 billion, Madam Speaker, that is owed to different pension funds by different counties. I don't think that legislative pieces can go above those oversight issues. Madam Speaker, yesterday when we were in Migori County, we realized something that is very sad. The governor showed us, and this report will come to the House, the governor insisted to us that he had paid 1.1 billion in the last 1 year. And Madam Speaker, that county has got 1.7 billion worth of pending bills. When we reached out to COB, because there's no way a governor would pay any money without requesting money from the COB. When we asked the COB how much of worth of pending bills has the governor been able to do requisition for in the last 1 year, we got that it was 356 million. Meaning that the governor was telling the committee that 800 million worth of pending bills, the governor either paid from his own pocket or did not requisition from the COB, Madam Speaker. And his officer had the audacity of facing the committee chaired by the able former Majority Whip, Senator Boni Aluale. He had the audacity of facing Boni Aluale and telling him that there is something called direct invoicing. Direct invoicing, Madam Speaker, is where you have sent invoice to COB for suppliers, and they have given you money to go and pay those suppliers. Then when you get to IFMIS, you do another invoicing. You do another invoicing. Madam Speaker, this committee must prioritize those reports so that for once and for all, we must deal with the issue of direct invoicing, Madam Speaker, because that is where billions of money are being wasted by governors, Madam Speaker, to the extent that, Madam Speaker, this last weekend, you have seen the arrogance of governors who have taken so much money that we saw in Kakamega, almost 10 people dying in a funeral because governors have become a point that they have taken so much money from the public coffers that they are gagging senators that they cannot oversight with goons, so that anybody who speaks against any governor, the next thing you hear, they have hired goons, they are fighting senators. Madam Speaker, we are out from the Finance and Budget Committee, and I'm out as a senator, that we are going to confront these governors regardless of the money that they have in this country. We cannot have a country, Madam Speaker, that people loot from public property, and people loot from public projects, and people loot from public coffers, and then they use the same amount of money to go and confuse our people to start fighting among themselves. The people they are giving 500 shillings to fight us who are oversighting and to abuse us on Facebook, Madam Speaker, and social media, the same people, when you go to their villages, there is no water. When you go to their villages, people are dying out of Panadol when they have got very good medical care, Madam Speaker. So I want to urge this committee to go and strongly work on those reports by PAC, by Finance and Budget, by CPIC, and this committee must bring those reports to this house so that if there is need to go to somewhere like Migori County, where we cannot track a number of projects, and I can tell you, Madam Speaker, I have data, and those reports are with the committee. We need to debate those reports in this house and make sure that we can even form special committees together with our partners. We have got very strong partners in this house. We have got the EACC, we have got the Auditor General, we have got the IG of Police, we have got the COB. Let all these partners go to Migori and look at these projects, and go to Isiolo and look at the projects that have been cleared in billions, and go to Muranga and look at those projects. Go to Kisii, look at those projects. Go to Mombasa, look at those projects. Because if we don't do that, Madam Speaker, and tighten the issue of oversight in this country, Madam Speaker, we are facing demagogues and hegemons in names of governors who have become comfortable that they can loot public property and public money, and senators will do nothing. The reports of the Senate are the most critical things that we must work on. Madam Speaker, as I finish, there is the question that has come here, Madam Speaker, and I think that I want to urge your seat, Madam Speaker, that don't take it lightly. Just go, retreat, and be able to make a proper pronouncement on the judgment that was shared by the court, Madam Speaker. Because when you look at the Constitution, Madam Speaker, on the issue of presiding in Parliament, that gives you the power to preside over us, Article 107 of the Constitution, Madam Speaker, it says that in a joint session of Parliament, the Speaker of the National Assembly shall preside over that joint session. Then the Speaker of the Senate shall deputize the Speaker of the National Assembly. When you go further to 108, Article 108, where now it defines party and coalition of parties that shall come as majority or minority, it only gives that power and that designation to the National Assembly. So, Madam Speaker, we must seek for an interpretation, whether from your chair or from the courts, of what does Article 108 and Article 107 mean for this house. Because if we take it lightly that this is a drama and a joke that the former minority side is doing to the former majority side, then we are not serving the nation. It is my understanding and my view of those two articles that the moment National Assembly Speaker has pronounced himself or herself, given the context of Article 107, that the majority party or the majority coalition is one side, then that applies to the Senate. And the reason why I'm saying this, Madam Speaker, is because election day is when those majority and minority parties are determined. There is no any other election after we are seated in this house. And therefore, this question of some post-election coalitions that have come here and there, some of them we haven't seen any documentation to the effect. I want to urge you, Madam Speaker, that you can be able to help us be able to criticize, question, interrogate, engage with court orders. I saw Madam Gloria and Senator, the senator who was nominated Senator Gloria, Madam Speaker, contributing in this house. Yet, Madam Speaker, there was a court order that came on the basis of decisions that were made by this house. It was a decision that was made by this house that Senator Gloria was suspended for 6 months. I understand that maybe there's a potential that Senator Gloria might have gone and appealed against that court order. But it needs to be communicated to the House, Madam Speaker. If it's not communicated, then she's a stranger in the House, Madam Speaker. When the Speaker sits and then ignores those court orders, ignores a stranger being in the House without communicating to us, how are we running the House? These are the issues that I hope that the House Business Committee will look at and let us engage with these court matters, and not only engage with them on time so that we can be able to interpret and engage with these court orders. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, I'm looking forward to a very vibrant session this session, and I hope that we'll make our country better by working together, agreeing to disagree for the purpose of moving Kenya forward. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Are you supporting the motion, or
I said I support the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Oburu Odinga is the next.
These are the names, eh? You can read them.
She has given me. Oh, she's given me. Asante, asante. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Madam Speaker, first and foremost, I stand to support this motion. The reason I support this motion, Madam Speaker, is because of the integrity of the membership. The people who have been elected here, some of them are very experienced, like Ibrahim Roba. If you look at Roba, has been a governor, he has been MP, and he has a lot of experience. And all of them, you look at you, Madam Speaker, your background and your experience in politics, having been a Secretary General of the ruling party, and so on, Madam, you are fit to guide us. And I don't want to describe every member, but Madam Speaker, I support this motion and support the membership which has been suggested. But they have an onerous task that this committee which is being proposed here has an onerous task to move our things forward. Madam Speaker, I'm quite concerned that the National Assembly has become a graveyard for legislation which is passed here in the Senate, and they go there and they find a slaughterhouse there, and they die there. Madam Speaker, I don't know whether fighting them will be the solution, but I would have suggested, Madam Speaker, that when you are elected to this onerous position of the House Business Committee, you should develop some relationship with the National Assembly. Help us to create an amicable atmosphere where our motions and our legislation does not stand as cattle to be slaughtered in the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, I hope that this committee which is being given this task will this time make sure that one of our most important functions, which is to make legislation, And Madam Speaker, I've been in this parliament for a long time. I'm very, very pleased with the pace at which Senate is processing legislation. The Senate is doing its work, and it is doing it very well. There is quite a lot of legislation, very important for the country, which are passed here, but they never see the light of the day. They are killed at the National Assembly. And I hope, Madam Speaker, this will be taken seriously, and something will be done about it. And Madam Speaker, secondly, I don't want to comment much because when I came in here, I was not whipped by my whip. He did not tell me that we are taking over the leadership on this side. So I went and, and sat on the other side. But Madam Speaker, what I can say on this is that if you see that something is happening in the National Assembly, that thing directly applies to the Senate. Because, Madam Speaker, if all of us know that the ruling about the leadership in the Assembly is exactly the same as ours here. So I don't know whether we want to wait also for the Senate to go to court and get a similar ruling, or ukiona mwenzie akinyolewa, we chako pia ukitie maji. Yes. So that we don't waste a lot of time again going to court. Let us move, because this country is ours all, and what we want to do is to move things on oversight. We are doing the same job. Whether you are in minority or in majority, you are supposed to do oversight. You are not supposed to be defending the executive when they go wrong. Everybody is supposed to be on the same page, and when the government does something which needs support, it is supported by everybody. But when they do something which requires criticism and openness in speaking, everybody is supposed to speak the same. There should be no division in that matter, because our role of oversight is the same. They don't say that it is the minority or the majority who will do the oversight on the government. There is no such a line that majority or minority are the ones who are supposed to do oversight. It is the whole Senate, it is the whole Parliament. It is our job to do oversight on the executive. So, Madam Speaker, I hope that this matter will be resolved, because what is happening there in the National Assembly is exactly happening. If the court said the party leadership, our Speaker is also a leader of a political party. But anyway, we are not discussing our Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, I withdraw that one. But I want to say, Madam Speaker,
thank you for withdrawing. That is the correct thing to do.
I want to conclude by saying that I support this motion, and I want to urge our people who have been appointed there to work well and create an ambience, an amicable relationship with the other house, so that we find an amicable way. They also need us, because they now want they want us to support them in CDF, which has been declared unconstitutional. Let us support them, but also get something from them. If it is killed in courts, it is not us. Let us get ours, which is legitimate, but let us support theirs, which is illegitimate. Let it be killed elsewhere, not by us, so that we can, it is give and take. It should be give and take. And I hope our people will do the necessary diplomacy to make sure that we gain from some of these positions. They require us as much as we require them. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Senator Kisang. Secretariat, clerk, please help. the senator with the mic. Put his mic on, please. You can move to the dispatch.
Good. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand to support the members who have been selected to serve in this particular very important committee. That's why you've seen today, Madam Speaker, we don't have anything else to do until this particular committee is approved so that they can sit down and prepare work for us to do in the next few days. Madam Speaker, I know in the last 3 sessions, we've had issues, especially in terms of quorum, when it comes to division, Madam Speaker. So I'm urging this particular committee to give guidance and also advise members that we can agree that every Wednesday afternoon or alternate Wednesdays is a division sitting so that members know from the word go. You don't have to be whipped by anybody. You know, Wednesday afternoon is division time so that we can dispose most of the bills that have been on the queue for long on the division, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's also important for the whips to engage the members, tell the members when their very important businesses are coming to the house so that members can whip themselves and come to the house during those particular divisions, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I know we had a retreat in Naivasha and we engaged, including the 4th formula that is coming up in the course of this year, Madam Speaker, and we spoke and said there are several counties that are just paying salaries, Madam Speaker, and we need to see how we can help them so that they can get additional resources so that they can do some meaningful developments in the county, Madam Speaker, because if you see, like the 10 I said, Madam Speaker, basically apart from paying salaries, they are building ECDs and buying medicine, but there is nothing meaningful that are happening in those particular counties, and we'll be lobbying members in this house so that, you know, we leave our emotions so that we ensure that the stability fund of about 12.5 billion, Madam Speaker, is allocated by Treasury so that eventually within 2-3 years, the other counties will get enough resources to do something that can be seen so that we know devolution is working for all of us, not just for the big boys, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to touch on what our colleagues have said. You know, at least, you know, this is the first day, and we've been out for the last maybe 60, 70 days, Madam Speaker. And let the former SMEO, because as far as I know, Madam Speaker, there is no SMEO. Now Kenya moved out of SMEO, Madam Speaker. It's now called BLP. Waiba is out of SMEO. ODM basically is part of us now. We are in a broad-based government, Madam Speaker. So let our colleague enjoy maybe the honeymoon for today to come to this side. So I believe by tomorrow they should be able to move to their side because they have enjoyed the